We talk about freedom as if everybody can have the same kind of freedom all at the same time. And with some kinds of freedom, it's true, like freedom of speech. If I speak freely, it doesn't stop you from speaking freely. But there are all sorts of freedoms which prevent other people from being free. And when the billionaires and their think tanks and their whole international network of neoliberalism talks about freedom, they're not talking about freedom for us, they're talking about freedom for them. And freedom for them is very often captivity for everybody else. So they say, we want to be free. We want to be free of red tape. Very often that red tape means public protections, having to treat your workers reasonably well, having to pay them decent wages, giving them holidays, giving them sick pay. That's the sort of red tape they want to rip up. They want to be free from environmental red tape, which is stopping them from pouring pollution into the river or into the air and choking everybody. They say red tape is choking us. No, actually, it's the absence of red tape that's choking us. They say we want freedom from tax. If they don't pay tax, we don't have public services. We don't have a health service. We don't have free public education. So this term freedom gets used as a weapon with which to beat us down. The ideology that now dominates our lives has been paid for by billionaires, promoted through their think tanks, promoted through the newspapers they own, promoted through the academic departments that they've taken over, and through the governments which are basically sitting in their front pockets. And so in the name of freedom, they campaign against our freedoms. And there's a classic example of this. The Sun newspaper, owned by Rupert Murdoch, used by that billionaire to promote his agenda, to promote what's good for him. It talked about how when Britain leaves the European Union, we can get out of the working time directive, which means that employers can't force their workers to work more than 48 hours a week. The way it framed this was with the words, shackles come off. But of course what we know will really happen is that the shackles go on. The freedom which the Sun is talking about is going to be captivity for the workers who can now be exploited by their bosses and forced to work ridiculous hours, which destroy their family life, destroy their health, destroy their state of mind. In Britain, we were constantly told that if we leave the EU, we can take back control. And I totally understand that impulse because very often our lives seem to be completely out of control, commanded and controlled from on high, where we have almost no freedom, we have almost no autonomy. But what we're really getting is the passing of control to the billionaire class and to the people who work for them, who are using this as the most fantastic opportunity to roll back any constraints on the way they behave. And the same applies in America to Trump. He promised to tear all this down, these public protections, in the name of freedom. Their freedom is our captivity. To understand this, we have to go back in history a bit. Back maybe to about 1800, where, according to one estimate, 3/4 of the world's people were bonded. They were either slaves, serfs, or indentured labor. Now this was a horrendous state for the great majority of the world's people, but it was the ideal state for those who exploited them. The ideal state for those who harvested their productive work and put it in their own pockets. And I believe that some of the billionaires who control politics today, that's what they want to go back to. And just occasionally, one of these people will give the game away. For instance, Peter Thiel, the founder of PayPal, an immensely rich man, multiple billionaire, hugely influential in politics, great enthusiast of Donald Trump. He said in one of his essays, "I've come to believe that there's a conflict between liberty and democracy." And of course what he meant by liberty is what billionaires mean by liberty, which is our total freedom to behave as we wish. And he's right. There is a conflict between that and democracy. You can't have both. If the billionaires are to be able to walk all over the rest of us, do exactly what they want, when they want, to whom they want, democracy doesn't allow that because the rest of us have votes. And the rest of us say, actually, we want freedom. And it's not the same conception of freedom as you've got. In fact, it's exactly the opposite to what you call freedom. So they use this word freedom as a weapon against freedom. They use it as a way of constraining and containing and controlling us, a way of effectively putting us into captivity. So when you hear that word freedom, ask yourself this: freedom for whom? Against whom? Double Down, for principled reasons, does not run adverts. So it relies instead on your help You can become a patron, provide a monthly donation, small, large, enormous. Help this become the future of broadcasting that I think it is destined to be.